The platform DFW Podcast is back. I am your host, Marc Henry. Listen, man, we're going into week 7 of the high school football season here in the state of Texas. We're going to talk about a couple of big games this week, but man, we're going to start out with some film breakdown. I got two running backs that I've really been having eyes on this year that have been two of the better rushers, not just in the DFW area, but definitely in the state for sure. And that's Cam Newton from Walnut Grove High School and Jayshon Gibson from Richland High School. These are both two of the leading rushers in the DFW area, probably in the state. But we're talking about the DFW, of course. We're part of the Platform Podcast Network. Check out the Platform Podcast Network of shows on the DR Sports with a Z podcast platform on the DR Sports YouTube channel. But listen, man, let's get started. We're going to start with the senior running back, Cam Newton from Walnut Grove High School. I think that he's one of the better rushers around the DFW area, definitely in the state of Texas. Newton's been playing at a high level. He's a guy that you definitely need to know about when it comes to running backs in the DFW area. He rushed for over 2,000 yards as a junior, over 30 touchdowns as a junior. He's a guy that plays well outside the running back to tackle box. And when we talk about that, we mean that he is a great pass receiver as well. And I like the way that Walnut Grove uses him in that particular aspect to get him out in space. And when he gets in the secondary at the second level, he's a guy that definitely can make things happen. And I love the way that he runs the football. Now let's take a look at Newton here as we get ready to take a look at his highlights from the first half of the year. Definitely Cam's a guy that you need to know about. And I think that you are going to love this tape. I love this tape. Had a chance to get to know Cam the last couple of years. He's a 3-star recruit. He's got offers from Arkansas State, Sam Houston, and a couple of more schools. But listen, I think he also had a recent visit up to Iowa in the Big Ten. This guy can definitely play powerful football. He's a guy that's versatile. Again, a guy that can play in space, and he's a guy that you want the ball in his hands. And I really like what Newton does with it. And we're going to take a look at his film real quick right here on the Platform DFW Podcast, man. Definitely. Here we go. As you see him catch it, get north quickly. He's a guy that has the speed to break big runs and big plays. This is what I love about Newton. This is what I love about his game. And you can see, hey, he's hitting the goalposts. Joseph, boom, one cut, he's upfield, and he's in the secondary. You know, this guy was clocked at 21 miles an hour last week in his big game. I think that he is definitely one of those guys that you got to keep an eye on. Again, a 2,000 yard rusher last year. He really reads his holes. Once you can see, he's got the ability to cut back, get north. And when he's in the secondary, he turns it on. Here's another great run. One cut, boom, north and south runner when it comes to seeing daylight. He runs to daylight with great vision. And I really like what he does when he gets the ball in his hand. This is one of those guys. Now, this is the scramble drill. Pay attention to the awareness. This is football IQ that you don't get from a lot of guys. He's seeing his quarterback scramble. He gets open, and he knows where to go with it. 6 points for Walnut Grove. Cam Newton's one of those guys. Again, he hits the hole, good vision, explodes. I like the way he doesn't waste time. You know, you see sometimes young backs like to bounce things or they try to make things happen in space. Now, he has the quickness to do that. Another great screen pass. I love the way that Walnut Grove gets him involved. And then he sets up his blocks nicely. He's got the patience to wait on his blocks to develop. Another one. Here's a wheel route. They line him and flex him out like a receiver. He takes it, breaks a tackle. He's a power runner. And then look at the patience and the speed to get north and get ghost. I think that this guy is one of those dynamic rushers. We'll watch this final play. Boom, good cut back ability, the vision to run to daylight, and the quickness to make people miss in the open field. I think this is why Cam Newton is one of those guys that you definitely want to see when it comes to rushers. I think that this is I know that this guy is one of those guys that you want to see. I think that this is one of the better rushers in the DFW. He's leading the area in rushing right now, over 1,100 yards, 15 touchdowns. He's a guy that you definitely want to put the ball in his hands. It's the reason that Walnut Grove has this guy ready to go when you see it. So I really like what he does with the ball in his hands. And I really think that he's probably one of those guys that you're going to see, turn into an all conference player at the next level. He's a 2026 3-star recruit out of Walnut Grove High School. That is Cam Newton. Now, we're going to take a look at the second running back that we're going to talk about here out of DFW, and that's Jayshon Gibson. He is a class of 2027 standout from Richland High School. Now, Richland has a big game this week with Denton Ryan, and we're going to talk about that and more here in just a little bit. But I just want to take you on the field and look at some film from Jayshon Gibson. He's one of the top running backs in the 2027 class for sure. There he is, first play. He's breaking out. He's got the speed and the power to get it done. I love his patience, but when he hits the hole, he hits it. As you can see, one cut gets north, really doesn't do a lot of dancing. This is what you want from a running back. You see young guys try to do a lot of dancing, but this guy has a nose for the end zone. As you can see the explosive leap. That's a 3 or 4 yard leap there. And he's also a good pass receiver, as we'll see here in a sec. Runs with power, but when he sees the hole, he explodes through it. I like his pad level when he sees that hole as well. Here's a pass play, great hands, soft hands. One cut, gets up, and he explodes through the hole. Great blocking by his receivers. He has a good offensive line as well. You see he has a nose for that end zone. He can kind of sniff it. He can smell it. And that's what you want from this guy. That's what you want from back. Again, great hands out of the backfield, gets up and makes positive yardage. He has good balance, good contact balance that you'll see here. Patience, vision. He keeps his shoulder square. You're not going to get a big shot on him when he's up in the hole. He keeps his shoulder square to the hole, and I really like his speed and agility in the open field as well. Nice spin move here. It keeps the legs churning. Again, you can see why he's one of the top rushers in the DFW area for sure. I think that he's a guy that's well over 1,000 yards right now in this season. Now, big game against a very good Denton Ryan team this week, and we're going to talk about that shortly. But those are two running backs that I think are that you should know here in the DFW area and that you should keep an eye on. Jayshon Gibson, class 2027 from Richland High School, and Cam Newton from Walnut Grove High School, who's a class 2026. Now, Gibson has offers from TCU. He was at TCU recently on a visit, Arkansas, and a plethora of schools. He's a guy that's a double-digit offer guy. He's only a junior, so he'll be back next year. But let's go into the game that we're talking about this week that features Gibson going against a Denton Ryan team that's coming off a loss to Alito last week, 15-14. They have a guy that's on the defensive side in Cookie Warmade that I think will be a guy that you need to know about when it comes to stopping Jayshon Gibson. This is a guy that you're going to have to really corral, but he's been running and going crazy. He had 215 yards last week in a big win, and this is going to be for a possible district matchup with Alito, which Richland still has to play. So for the Richland squad, shout out to Coach Jed Gates. Jed Cates. His son is the quarterback for Richland as well, and these guys know that they have to get this thing done. They've been one of those teams that's been kind of flying under the radar when it comes to making it, to Jerrywell, to the state championship in Arlington in December. But I think they have a great shot if they can get this big win against Ryan and look forward to Alito next week. Now, let's talk about the big game in 11-6A, which is DeSoto and Duncanville. You got two teams that are kind of going in a different direction. Now, 2 weeks ago, we were at the game against Waxahachie, and Duncanville fell 28-27. The following week, Waxahachie travels to DeSoto, and they fall to DeSoto, who is undefeated right now in this district. Now we come full circle 2 weeks later. DeSoto travels over to Duncanville. This is going to be one of those games that you want to pull up and see. And this is a game we will have our eye on here at the Platform DFW Podcast. There's all kinds of Division I talent on the team. We'll start with DeSoto, and Sarad Baker, the 2027 running back, is a guy that's going to get the ball in his hands. He's also been playing some quarterback. Their quarterback legend, Howell, missed a couple of games with injury, but he's back now. So that kind of gives DeSoto a little bit more punch when it comes to running their offense through a normal quarterback situation. Now, Sarah Baker's been playing at a high level. Quarterback, running back, receiver, wherever you want to put him, he's that guy. He's a bona fide playmaker, and he's a guy that's going to need the ball in his hands. Now, Antron Evanson's another guy on the outside, a wide receiver, who's got next level talent. He's a power forward talent. He's been playing well for DeSoto as well. Of course, you got Ethan Feaster, who is the USC commit on the other side. They got two valuable receivers that can get it done. That offensive line is playing well. And then you got Legend Howell, who's got his feet back under him after missing a couple of games early in the season. As long as they can protect the quarterback and do, and make some positive plays on offense, DeSoto will be in this game. Now, on the flip side, they're facing one of the best defenses in the country and two of the best defenders in the country in Landon Barnes and KJ Ford. Barnes is committed to Ole Miss. KJ Ford is committed to Florida. You'll have to deal with those guys coming every play. On the outside, you got Victor Lincoln, who is one of the best cornerbacks in the state of Texas. He's committed to Arkansas. And then you have SMU commit and Braylon Edwards playing safety. He can play some corner too. It just depends on the looks that they give you. But this is a team that's coached by a Hall of Fame coach and Coach Reginald Samples. They'll be ready to go. On the offensive side, Arnold's the running back. He's the guy that's going to tote the rock for those guys. And then you have Max Denson as well as Rivers at quarterback. So we'll see who comes out at quarterback for Duncanville this week. That's going to be the key. Now, Denson had a couple of big games. He played well against South of Cliff, and he played well against Waxahachie. But I think the difference was the running game, it didn't do well against Waxahachie. Now, on the outside, the Duncanville Panthers have a plethora of receivers to go to. You got to start with Zachary Turner, Ace and Theus, and, of course, one of the top 2027 wide receivers in Trenton Yancey. They got guys that can go. It's just getting those guys the ball in their hand. And the DeSoto defense is going to have to get pressure on the quarterback and stop the run because Duncanville is going to want to come out and establish that running game. This is a big game. This is a game that's going to determine who takes the lead in this particular district in 11-6A. You got Cedar Hill, who's also undefeated in 11-6A. In order to keep up with these guys, DeSoto would be in the driver's seat and still have to face those guys. So I think that, this is if I'm Coach Mathis, and this is what Coach Mathis preaches, is one game at a time. And on that particular side of the football, when we talk about offense, DeSoto has it. It's execution. The team that wins this game is going to have the least amount of penalties, be able to stop the run, and limit big plays on both sides. It's going to be emotional because these teams are in close proximity. You got these guys that have worked out together, played with each other. It's like big brother against little brother, or cousin versus cousin, or, it's like throw up tackle back in the street. These guys know each other. It's going to be highly volatile. It's going to be an emotional game. This is what you get when you get this rivalry. This is a legitimate rivalry, and it's going to have district championship implications all over it. But we will see. This is a game that the Platform DFW Podcast will have an eye on, and we definitely will be in the building for that one. But let's run down a few more games that kind of catch our eye this week in the DFW area. Argyle takes on Seguin. Seguin's a very good team. McGuire Gashman, the quarterback for Argyle's, having a phenomenal year. You got one of the top 2027 wide receivers in Julian Caldwell on the outside. Brayden Bach, the tight ends, a TCU commit 3-star recruit as well. I think Argyle will want to try to establish the run, but Seguin's one of those teams, and I think they'll be a playoff team this year. Coming off a loss to Mansfield Timberview last week in a district matchup, but I think that these guys know what they have to do. They got their sights dead on Argyle. They got to let that go, what happened last week, and focus on Argyle in this particular game. Definitely a game you want to keep your eye on in the DFW this week. Another game you want to keep an eye on, the Southern Grand Prairie taking on Arlington Lamar. This another district matchup that has playoff implications. SGP, right now, they're undefeated. Lucas is their running back is having a phenomenal year. He's a guy that you definitely need to keep an eye on. Right now, they're undefeated in district, and they got the district lead right now. They still have to play Arlington Bowie, who takes on Martin in that district as well. But that particular game, definitely got to keep an eye on that one. A couple of more games to look at. Mansfield Lake Ridge welcomes in defending 6A Division I champion North Crowley Panthers. This will be a Thursday kick over in Mansfield. Now, Lake Ridge has one of the better young running backs in the area in J.C. Cotton. He's been playing well. So has Deshaun Edwards, the quarterback. You got Noel Butler, who can do things in the kick return game and in the slot, maybe jumping running back. He's an explosive player that you need to know about as well. Now, North Crowley has two of the better running backs in the DFW area, Jarrell Smith and Keontae Ingram. Those two guys are going to see that rock. They want to focus on time of possession. They want to focus on running that peel. And that's what you got to look at with North Crowley. They're physical up front. Defensively, they got some of the top playmakers in the defensive backfield, and Jerry Allenhouse Jr., Aaron Bradshaw. Braylon Cunningham is one of the top freshman defenders in the state. He is a guy that you need to know about, as well as Elijah One Houston. Secondary is loaded. But I think that these guys are going to have to win this game in the trenches. On the offensive side, you got Lake Ridge, who has Texas Tech commit Felix Ojo, so they're going to want to establish that running game. This is going to be a close game, probably closer than the experts think, and I definitely am going to have eyes on that one for sure. I think that, North Crowley, the Panthers coming off a bye, they're well rested, ready to go. Of course, Coach Gates and those guys are going to have everybody ready to play over there. But Coach Thor and the Lake Ridge Eagles, man, they got something to say about that. They think that they have a chance to win a district title, but it goes through North Crowley. Big game on Thursday. A couple of more games that we'll talk about. Timberview and Summit. This is going to be a big contest because Timberview is coming off a big win over Seguin last week. Summit's one of those teams that gets hot late in the year. They've always done it like that. So definitely a game you need to know and need to watch. Keep an eye on. Definitely the platform DFW will be keeping an eye on that. A couple more games here before we get out of here. Forney and Longview. Now, the Forney Jackrabbits have one of the top rushers in the country in Javion Osborne. They head east to East Texas. Now, Longview is one of those bucket list type stadiums. I went down there a couple of years ago to a game to watch a game. This is one of those stadiums on the bucket list that you might want to check out. The Lobos have a very, very unique home field advantage. On the home side is all season ticket holders. On the visitor side is where they have general admission, and then they stick the visitors over there with the band in a small section. So the stadium's full of Lobos. It's full of Lobo faithful. And when you go in there, everything is green. It's like between the hedges at Georgia. A mystique that you definitely got to see down in East Texas, man. I think that's a game that people will have an eye on. I definitely have an eye on that one. Another one is North Forney and Rockwall Heat. North Forney has Legend Bay, one of the top playmakers in the country at quarterback. He's been playing at a phenomenal level, throwing it, rushing it. They're undefeated. District title ramifications in this game. I think that North Forney, I've been talking about it. If you've been watching the show, this is a team that I think can make a run to a state title. And it's going to be, up to Bay and company to keep this ball rolling. Now, Rockwall, he's one of those teams. Don't sleep on him. This is why we have an eye on this particular game. I definitely think that I know that Coach Shavers in North Forney, shout out to my guy, Coach Charles Hitchens. He was on the show earlier this year. I definitely think that these guys know that they have the opportunity to make something big happen. They still have to face Longview. They still have to face Rockwall in that district. So this is one of those districts that you definitely have to keep an eye on as well. Over there with North Forney, you got Roy City, who's playing well. Roy City has some 2028 playmakers that you need to know about. Definitely got to pull up on Roy City this year as well. But listen, man, keep your eyes glued to the podcast. That's the platform DFW Podcast, right on the DR Sports YouTube channel. Check it out, man. I am your host, Marc Henry. You can follow us on Twitter at the platform DR in all caps. And definitely go check out the website because we are here to expose the unexposed. That's what the platform's all about, the platform DFW Podcast. I am your host, Marc Henry. Listen, week 7 is on its way. Keep your eyes ready, man. The platform is going to get you there. Scouts all over the country. Shout out to everybody that's been tapping in with the Platform Podcast Network. I am your host, Marc Henry of the Platform DFW Podcast. We'll holler at you next week.